Hi everyone, I am Chavi. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will explain you what Section 5 Clause 2 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955 talks about. In my previous video, I have explained what Section 5 Clause 1 talks about, that is bigamy. I have explained in detail under what circumstances bigamy is committed, what would happen if you have entered into a second marriage. So we have discussed each and every detail regarding Section 5 Clause 1. Here in this video, we'll start with Section 5 Clause 2, which talks about mental capacity. So when we are talking about mental capacity and Section 5 Clause 2, firstly Section 5 Clause 2 runs as that at the time of marriage, neither party should be and so three conditions are mentioned there. So basically first thing is very much clear to us that it is saying that at the time of marriage. This Clause 2 of Section 5 runs as that at the time of marriage. From this, one thing is clear that those conditions, if they are existing at the time of marriage, then only your case would fall under the section, otherwise not. So basically Section 5 Clause 2 says that at the time of marriage, neither party should be, first condition mentioned is that should be incapable of giving a valid consent just because of what? Unsoundness of mind. So basically always keep in mind that this first condition is talking about, that is incapable of giving a valid consent just because of unsoundness of mind. So please pay attention here. When we are talking about unsoundness of mind, it is not that every case of unsoundness of mind is covered here. No, only those cases of unsoundness of mind is covered where it incapacitates the person to give valid consent. So basically if you are having unsoundness of mind where the person is able to give valid consent, then that case would not be included here. So always keep in mind when we are talking about first condition of Section 5 Clause 2, here only those cases of unsoundness of mind is covered which incapacitates the person to give valid consent. So this was our first condition. Now moving on to the second condition. Second condition talks about that even though the person is capable of giving a valid consent, but he or she is unfit for marriage and procreation of children. So from the second condition, it is clear that it doesn't matter even if that person is capable of giving a valid consent, but if that person is suffering from mental disorder of such a kind which incapacitates the person to or makes the person unfit for marriage and procreation, then also your case can fall under Section 5 even though you are capable of giving a valid consent. So please keep in mind that if you are unfit for marriage or procreation at the time of marriage, not after the marriage, but at the time of marriage, if you are incapable of or unfit for all these things, then your case would fall under this section. Now the third condition is talking about, third condition is saying that the person is suffering from recurrent attacks of insanity. So if the person is suffering from all these attacks, then your case would fall under Section 5 Clause 2. So from reading all these conditions which has been mentioned under Section 5 Clause 2, one thing is clear that here the word or is used. From this word, it is very much clear that when we are using the word or, then it shows that these conditions are independent of each other. What I'm trying to say from this, that these conditions are independent of each other, which basically means that even if your only one condition is satisfied, you can bring the case to the court. So there is no need on your part to satisfy all these three conditions. Even if you are fulfilling only one condition, that is sufficient. Why? Because here the word or is written. If the word and would have been written, then the meaning would have been different. But here the word or basically means that these conditions are independent of each other and there is no need on your part to satisfy all these three conditions. Even if among these three conditions, even if only one condition has been satisfied, you can bring your case to the court. Okay, so this was about all these three conditions. Now please come back to second condition. So in second condition, we have studied that second condition basically runs as that if party is capable of giving a valid consent, but he or she is suffering from mental disorder of such a kind which makes the party or the person unfit for marriage or procreation of children. So please pay attention here. Here the term mental disorder has been used. So mental disorder is nowhere defined under this section. then how would we determine what does the term mental disorder mean? So section 13 subsection 1 clause 3 of this Hindu Marriage Act 1955 talks about mental disorder. In that, please refer that section. When we'll study the section, I'll anyway discuss it later on, but for now read this section in your Bare Act. So there you will see that the term mental disorder has been explained there. So when we are talking about mental disorder and the second condition, the mental disorder has not been explained under section 5, but it has been explained under section 13. So this was about condition. All these was about conditions. Now moving on to burden of proof. On whom does the burden of proof lies? So the person who is bringing the case to the court, basically that is the petitioner, the burden of proof lies on the petitioner. So the person who is approaching the court and moving the court, he or she has to prove that yes, my spouse is suffering from all these conditions or this condition, so that's why I want relief. So now it is clear that burden of proof lies on the petitioner. So this was all about section 5 clause 2. The section 5 clause 2 talks about mental capacity. So if you want to enter into a valid marriage, you have to make sure that at the time of marriage your spouse is not suffering from all these three conditions which has been mentioned under section 5 clause 2. So I hope this concept is clear to everyone. If there are still any doubts, you can mention your doubts in the comment section below. And yes, one more thing, that I have explained this topic in Hindi version also, in Hindi language also. The link of the video has been mentioned in the description box below. Thank you so much. Bye bye.